everybody. This is B back again with another game. We recently found this on itch.io. I didn't pay attention to what I just started. But it's called, I've done forgot. Oh no. It's called Red-Handed Robin. And it's a mystery game. Like, from what I understood, you're trying not to get caught because you're a thief. And there's a lot of bad endings that you can get, so that'll be fun. Because I probably will get them all. All aboard the Whirlwind Express, the first ever train to connect the capital cities of Zephyr and Gales. Officially the most luxurious train in the world. No expense was spared on this groundbreaking maiden voyage. With one of our private luxury cabins, you'll be traveling in style as we make history on this cross-country trip. I reread the ticket as I waited anxiously in the boarding line. Beside me, my traveling companion spoke in a hushed voice so as not to be overheard. There's blood on it. Won't that be suspicious? Hello, Jay. Jay, do you see the people in the queue? I very much doubt the ticket taker wants to cause a fuss for some of the wealthiest people in the country. He probably won't even notice. I was partly trying to convince myself. So we murdered someone. Right away. Straight out the door. We're a murderer. Which, I knew we were a thief, but... Jay had a point. A blood-splattered ticket was bound to draw at least some attention when the clientele was important. Won't they check our names? He continued to whisper, but it wasn't really necessary. In front of us, woman clad all in fur was loudly admonishing an attendant who was trying to shepherd her 5 excited dogs aboard. It was causing quite a scene. I don't think so. There's no name on the ticket. Just relax and act like you belong here. After many angry threats and the calling of the manager, the attendant was replaced with someone else. The woman entered the train, pets in tow, and our turn finally came. The new attendant called us forward and held out his hand. With as much flippant confidence as I could muster, I turned the ticket over to him. I read that wrong. As he gave the ticket a thorough once-over, I saw his eyes linger on the splotch of red. So much for him not noticing. Is this blood? No. Blood? Oh my goodness, no. It's actually quite an embarrassing story. I've been looking forward to this trip for some time, and the other night I had too much to drink. I took the ticket out to reread the wonderful little description on it, and in my excitement, well, you see what happened. Can you imagine me in my night clothes absolutely soaked in wine? The fabric is so thin, too. I'm sure my servants got quite an eyeful, right, Jay? Jay rolled his eyes as the attendant blushed and stammered out a reply. Ah, yes, I suppose I can picture it. Listen to me, recounting such a lewd story. I suppose you think I'm very unladylike. I put my hand to my chest and tried to look bashful and demure. It was a stupid thing to be embarrassed about, but the attendant struck me as the type to try and comfort a woman in distress. It's all right, miss. That sort of thing happens to everyone. Sniff. I know, you're just trying to be kind. He awkwardly placed his hand on my shoulder. Uh-oh. And then quickly removed it. Everything seems to be in order here. He handed the ticket back to me with fumbling hands. Please wait over here for a moment. Another tenant will be shortly to escort you to your personal cabin. The two of us left the queue and moved to where the man had indicated. Under his breath, Jay started his usual nagging. You always give too much information. Why not a simple yes or no have sufficed? I scoffed. Lying is like telling a story. A well-crafted lie becomes believable precisely because of all the little details. Did you come up with that yourself? Would you believe me if I said I did? It certainly sounded pretentious enough. Regardless, I'd appreciate being left out of your stories. I'm not as quick on my feet as you. Aw, but it's so fun to watch you squirm. Another attendant approached and waved us for us to board. Just as we were about to step from the platform, however, a man carelessly crossed our path, nearly colliding with Jay. Oh, do excuse me. I wasn't looking where I was going. I suppose both of us are quite clumsy. I beg your pardon? Ah, forgive me. I overheard you talking to the attendant. You must be an earnest person to share such an embarrassing story with someone you just met. I mean, everyone in the queue was probably picturing your, predicament. Something about this man was setting off alarm bells in my head. Was he intentionally eavesdropping? And why does this feel so nostalgic? Miss? You're bothering us. Move. Yes, of course. My apologies. He quickly stepped out of the way. With a small bow, he motioned for us to board ahead of him. After you, my lady. I tried to keep my composure as realization hit me. I have to get away from him and think. Yes, well, let's go then, Jay. The attendant who'd been looking on awkwardly jumped back to attention. Can I take your luggage for you? Jay tightened his grip on our cases and didn't answer. No, that's quite all right. My companion here is more than capable. Very well. This way, if you please. He's on to us. Once inside, I could see that the whirlwind was truly a marvel. It almost felt as though we weren't on a train at all. Even my cabin looked like something out of a luxury hotel. This was a giant leap above the lodging we had grown used to after traveling undercover the last few days. Is that a full-size bed? Rich people are ridiculous. What's wrong with a normal passenger compartment? I wonder how much these tickets cost. The bed was indeed large and inviting. I wanted nothing more than to dive in and try it out, but there were more pressing matters to attend. Jay, that man on the platform? I think I know him. Jay stiffened, and I could see him immediately assume his professional mentality. How? He used to work for my family when I was a child. We were quite close, actually. That is, until... I chose my words carefully. Jay didn't need to know the details. Until he was let go. I must have been around 10 or so. I never saw him again after that. Putting his hand on his chin, he began to pace. That would have been, what, over a decade ago? Are you trying to guess my age? How rude. He continued to pace without answering. It was clear he wasn't in the mood for playful banter. On the platform he called me my lady. That's how all the servants referred to me. I'm almost certain that was him. Jay stopped in his tracks and thought for a moment. Then he swiftly grabbed our luggage and headed for the cabin door. What are you doing? This is too dangerous. If someone recognized you, we need to leave. Now. I thought this is how he would react. I even considered not telling him at all, but being recognized was dangerous for the both of us. It would have been worse to keep him in the dark. I'm not leaving. Excuse me? We can't leave. You said yourself, after what we've done, it's not safe for us in Zeph anymore. By an enormous stroke of luck, we find ourselves on the fastest way out of the country. This is literally our ticket to freedom. Jay stood frozen in the doorway, considering his options. If you want to leave, go ahead. I got on perfectly fine by my... If you want to leave, go ahead. I got on perfectly fine by myself before you started following me around like some lost puppy. That seemed to wake him up. He turned on his heel and glared at me. And perfectly fine? You call that perfectly fine? If it weren't for me, you'd be dead and buried in that perverted psychopath's garden. He was getting annoyed now. Time to start pushing some buttons. And if it weren't for me, you'd be the one holding the shovel. Or perhaps that's what you want, to go back to serving perverted psychopaths, beating their victims for them and digging their graves. He looked like he was about to say something particularly nasty, but was stopped short by a loud whistle. The train lurched forward and began to gather speed. Shit. Well, I suppose that's settled then. He slammed the luggage down and stormed over to me, leaning in so his face was inches from mine. You're an infuriating woman. Do you know that? Stop fighting, cats. I think I'm beginning to understand why that bastard wanted to murder you, even before he found out you were robbing him blind. I do seem to attract the murderous type. Maybe I just have one of those faces. Is that a shot at me? Are you conceding that you're attracted to me after all? You're too much trouble. He sighed, resigning himself to his fate. I need a drink. Surely they wouldn't allow their esteemed passengers to go without alcohol for a whole 48 hours. Finally removing himself from my personal space, he began riffling through drawers and cabinets. I thought the issue was settled, but apparently Jay wasn't satisfied. As he searched, the lecture continued. What's the likelihood that the man from the platform recognizes you in return? Am I psychic? How could I possibly know that? Make a guess then. In truth, it was extremely likely that he would have recognized me. He acted like we were strangers. Could I be wrong? Like you said, it's been over a decade since we've seen each other. So it was a decade. Over a decade, huh? So that would make you at least... Now who's infuriating? Didn't your mother ever teach you how to treat a lady? He scoffed at that. Only how to do their dirty work. Perhaps you could fill in the gaps for me. Are you flirting? I didn't think you were capable. Ah, there we go. Opening the cabinet door wide revealed a collection of colorful bottles. He retrieved a particularly dull one and poured its contents into 2 glasses. If he had recognized me, I should think he would have said something. Jay gave a slight pause, but quickly recovered and handed me one of the drinks. Had a thing for you then, did he? But he didn't remember you. So it must have been you who had a thing for him. He swirled the liquid in the glass, trying to look uninterested. And you say you're not attracted to me. Now, who's the liar? I'm tired of this conversation. Let's talk about something else. Feeling rather annoyed by this line of questioning, I took a sip from my drink as well. Blech! What is this? It's awful. Jay smirked and downed the rest of his own. Does it not suit the lady's delicate palate? Perhaps she ought to run back to her daddy's mansion and drink only the finest wines instead. You picked this one to tease me, then. He did his best to maintain an austere facade, but sometimes someone more playful would peer through the cracks. I'll drink it. If this is the kind of thing you like, I shall try to lower myself to your level. I brought the cup to my lips and hesitated. It really was disgusting, but I don't want to lose to that brute. I closed my eyes, and just as I was about to tilt the glass back, I felt a hand on mine. If you find it so distasteful, allow me to do it for you. Holding my gaze, and with both of us still clutching the glass, he drank down every last drop. He pulled away and wiped his mouth, leaving me holding the empty cup. That's an interesting face you're making. Should I have let you try to, how do you put it, lower yourself to my level? You barely gave me a chance. Afraid of losing to a girl? Just thirsty. A knock on the door jolted us from our little game and back to reality. Yes, you may enter. A train attendant opened the door and bowed. Sir, ma'am, dinner will be served shortly. If you wish, please make your way to one of the dining cars. He bowed again, turned on his heel, and left. A shiver of anticipation ran up my back. Time to have some fun. Come, Jay, our audience awaits. Let's not disappoint them. Jay rolled his eyes and went to grab his jacket. I swept past him and through the door of the cabin. Behind me, though. Thunk. I turned to look for a source of the sound, but there was only Jay. He was rubbing a red mark on his face, one hand still on the doorknob. Did you just... Feeling that second drink now, aren't you? How cute. That's what you get for being a show-off. Acting as though nothing had happened, Jay pushed past into the hallway. His face was still red, though whether it was from embarrassment or the alcohol, I can't say. Let's go. Being late will draw the undue attention. Of course, I wouldn't want that. We wouldn't want that. I followed after him. Okay, I personally like Jay. If it weren't for the countryside quickly passing by out the window, one could be forgiven for thinking they were in a very narrow house, rather than on the world's most expensive train. After dinner, we made our way to one of the lounge cars. I kept a sharp lookout for the man who spoke to us on the platform, but he was nowhere to be found. Can we hear me? I think. We can hear me, so that's good. Maybe he didn't even get on the train. He had been a servant in our household when I had known him. I couldn't imagine he made enough money to fit in with this crowd. I decided not to worry about it, and continued to politely chat with the group that had gathered in the lounge. Personally, I'm hoping to find a really nice rug in Gales. I collect them, you see. Good God, enough about the rugs. It's always rugs with you. No one wants to hear about the rugs. Just because you're not interested in them doesn't mean others aren't. Rugs have a rich history. What do you think, Miss Robin? Do you enjoy a good rug? Next to me, Jay snorted into his cup. I gave him a sharp kick in the shin under the table. Keep it together. Let's not embarrass our potential marks. I can't say I know much about them, to be honest. Perhaps you can enlighten me later. Though a change of subject might be in order for the time being. Your friend appears to be getting frustrated. As usual, I was quite popular with my traveling companions. A young, and dare I say, beautiful woman such as myself could always find someone to talk to. Having an admirable personality came in handy for gathering information. Yes, of course, you're so courteous, Miss Robin. A lady must learn to be delicate in all things. Deep-voiced woman. Well said, my dear. Do tell. Have you been to Gales before? I've been there. I've never been. This will be my first visit. I've always wanted to travel. This seemed like the perfect time to start. The woman nodded in agreement. The express train from the capital to capital is a genius idea, and it's so spacious and elegant. It certainly should be. The tickets only cost an arm and a leg. I'm glad for that, though. It's nice to not have to worry about some of the things I might have to on a more public train. I had nothing to say to that, so I smiled pleasantly. You think only poor people are capable of doing bad things? You must be very privileged indeed. They say travel broadens the mind. Well, I'm traveling for business, so I hope it broadens my pockets as well. What is it you do, Miss Robin? We're gonna go with... Oh. Hmm. Maybe I should save before I do something dumb. I want to say I own a business. I'm a self-made woman. I started a company that makes shoes for dogs, and the rest is history. I have a single boutique in Ziff at the moment, but one of the reasons for this trip is to scope out possible second location. Shoes for dogs? Intriguing. I'd love to pick up some for my dear Biscuit. What a smart idea, Miss Robin. You seem to have a good business sense. I've been blessed with many talents. What about you, handsome? What's your vocation? With the slightest glance at me, Jay gave the vague answer we had agreed upon earlier. Protection. The woman tittered at that. Protection? How mysterious. That can't be right. You're much too pretty for such work. Having been pushed out of the conversation by these two women, the other man at the table had long since left. Jay was at their mercy, and it was clear he didn't like the attention. He is pretty, isn't he? But I assure you, he's very reliable. Good-looking and capable. You don't usually find that. You're quite lucky, Miss Robin. Surely you intend to lock him away, Robin. If you don't, some other woman is likely to steal him right from under your nose. Perhaps you'd like to come work for me, love. I'll pay you twice as much for half the effort. I don't think so. The woman laughed. A man of few words, huh? I like the strong, silent type. Have you thought about getting rid of the eyeglasses? You would look even more dashing without them. I need them to see. No, I disagree completely. They add to his character. The eyeglasses hint at a hidden vulnerability. What do you say, Glasses? Am I right? Are you hiding a tender side behind that sullen exterior? I assure you, if I was trying to be symbolic, I wouldn't have chosen something so inconvenient. I need them to see. Oh. Okay. He's having a horrible time with these old ladies. Watching Day with these women was extremely amusing, but he was quickly losing his temper. Such biting sarcasm as well. Are you sure I can't tempt you away, my dear? Come now, let's not be naive. It's clear Miss Robin and this gentleman already have some kind of arrangement. I doubt he'd easily part with her. It was obvious they were fishing for the nature of our relationship, but Jay wasn't likely to bite. I better rescue him, if only to move this conversation along. I'm gonna say we're lovers. I suppose I can't hide it. We haven't known each other long, but he and I do have an arrangement of sorts. Isn't that true, my love? As you say. Aw, I was hoping for a pet name at least. The deep-voiced woman nodded knowingly. Yes, it's clear as day. I laughed and touched Jay's shoulder. I hired him just for this trip, if you catch my meaning. He's been lovely company thus far. I hate to ask, but do keep that just between us girls. Part of the framework of our arrangement is that other men don't know we're together. Ha, serves you right. This is for that disgusting drink you made me. The woman's eyes grew wide. How fun. You're quite a bold woman, Miss Robin. Good looking, capable, and submissive. You'll have to let me know what agency he works for. Jay's ears were bright red, a telltale sign that his anger was at its limits. It took all my concentration not to laugh. To my dismay, his sour expression quickly morphed into something more sinister. Since we're sharing secrets, I suppose Robin won't mind if I say how much she likes it when I... Yes, well, ladies, if you excuse us, we ought to make the rounds now. I leapt from my chair and dragged Jay from his own. Yes, of course, my dear. It's a long ride. I'm sure we'll see each other again. Bye, handsome. Oh, Jay. I wandered around the cars, meeting and greeting anyone who looked particularly interesting or gullible. Jade trailed me the entire time, which made it difficult to endear myself to anyone. Not many people want to talk to a woman while a man glares at them over his shoulder. If you don't want to be here, you could just wait in the cabin. That would make this much easier for me. And what is this? I would hope you're not planning on doing anything as stupid as robbing someone on this train. We are fleeing the country, need I remind you? What would you have me do? Sit in the cabin and twiddle my thumbs? Yes, exactly that. Sit in the cabin with our suitcase that is already full of stolen jewelry. Shit, the jewels. We left the case in the cabin. What was I thinking? We have to go back now. He forcefully grabbed my arm and started pulling me towards the end of the car. The case is fine. It's locked. The cabin is locked. We have both keys. This train is full of some of the wealthiest people. What reason would they have to steal from us? Besides, there's security everywhere. You said so yourself. G had a pointed out earlier in the evening that a few of the attendants looked rather questionable. I suppose in his line of work it was necessary to be able to spot these sort of threats. No one is going to break into our room. But you intend to break into someone else's? I intend to be invited, actually. You're insane. Are you even listening to yourself? You need to calm down. The hard part is over. We are currently on a train headed for freedom, and no one is any wiser. What about the man you recognized? If he realizes who you are, even if he does, why would he connect two and two? To him, I'll just be some rich girl he knew years ago who's run away from her father. He'll probably think you and I are eloping. And if he gets suspicious, I'll expect you'll to be able to handle him. That's what you do, isn't it? He scowled. You're overthinking this. If you were so worried about the case, then go back to the cabin and babysit it. Now, if you excuse me, I have some drunk rich people to impress with my charm and wit. Oh dear. I feel like we're gonna mess up badly. Okay. Hopefully we don't mess up too badly. Up. I like Jay though. It's not the case I'm worried about. He's worried about us. As the night wore on, the crowd in the common area thinned. I intended to avoid the man from this morning if I had to, but he had yet to return up. I found myself back in the lounge car drinking with a small group of people. My current company was closer in age to me than those I dined with earlier, and a much better crowd to work my magic on. I myself am excited to bring home some exotic fashion for gals. I just love Gaelish styles. Did you know it is in vogue for women to have their hair short there? Like a man. Isn't that interesting? Fascinating. She glared at him for a moment and carried on with the conversation. I don't think I'll be brave enough for that. Can you imagine what people would say once I return home? You might be able to pull it off, though, Robin. You have a soft, round face, so I think you would still look very feminine. Not with that giant forehead of hers. He said it so no one but me could hear, but I gave his foot a hard stomp anyway. To his credit, he tried to wince as covertly as possible. You flatter me, but I don't think I'll be cutting off my hair while I'm here. I'm petite already. I'd be afraid of being mistaken for a child. A sharp-dressed man who had hardly said anything all evening spoke up. You don't have to worry about that. You're much too beautiful to be mistaken for anything other than a woman, you are. Jay tensed slightly in the seat beside me. Such blatant flattery was likely to make him suspicious. He would have to get used to it. Empty platitudes were commonplace with a crowd like this. Yes, I am rather beautiful, aren't I? The man looked a little surprised that I agreed. Perhaps he was used to his compliments being met with blushing denial. We're a cocky person. Which is fine. But I'm not like that. Mr. Rhodes, I do believe you are flirting. I'm just stating the obvious, though it seems Robin is already aware of her own assets. How straightforward. The elegant woman leaned towards me and spoke in a mock, hushed voice. Mr. Rhodes is quite the eligible bachelor, Robin. Smart, hard-working, and dare I say handsome. Were I not already married, I'd be flirting right back. Who says he'd be interested in you in the first place? She gave the man a playful swat on the arm. You should be kinder to your wife. I do believe my wife is drunk. The group laughed. A rich bachelor, huh? I think I know who I'm aiming for now. I appreciate the compliment, Mr. Rhodes. He smiled ever so slightly. You may call me Fletcher. Fletcher, then. There you are, Fletcher. I've been looking all over for you. Okay, we gotta save. Don't know who that is, but we finished this. And we're gonna have to play again another day because we are out of time. So I hope you guys enjoyed. This is going to be really interesting, I have to say. I'm going to put the link in the description so you guys can find it on itch.io. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.